Real good, comfortable cheese. Outside edge. You know, I've often wondered that about dressing rooms because they're there for a long period of time, and sitting on plastic chairs all day isn't really a lot of fun. You go out the stand and do that. Remember the old wicker baskets at Newlands many years ago? They were really comfortable. They got some big ones at that Super Sport Park. Oh, man. Problem is, when you get on those kind of change rooms, you need guys to bat, make lots of runs. When you're back in bowlers, what's the best change room you've been in? Traditionally Lords, but comfort-wise, so long ago I can't remember. But there's something special about the Lord's dressing room, isn't there? Yeah, there is, those boards up there. What about the ones with baths in it? Centurion and Super Sport Park and got the bath. Well, what you don't find in modern stadiums now is the old-fashioned bath. I'm not talking about the plunge bath, one old bunchy you can get in there, but the old-fashioned bath, when after you bowled 25 overs and the batters are getting ready to go out and play, you can get the 12th man to run a nice hot bath for you and lie there for an hour. They don't have them anymore. A single take. They don't get tired like those days. They fitter. I don't know, there's one or two lads out there now who wouldn't mind a bath, let me tell you. They've worked hard. They may drown in one. Highest totals versus the West Indies. It's looming. How about some of those English dressing rooms? The Worcester one, or the Hove. What about Northampton? You've seen the new Northampton. The old Northampton was a dungeon. Went down a set of rickety stairs, spiral staircase to where there were 2 showers. I nearly broke my neck 3 or 4 times going down there. Somerset, the old Somerset dressing room is similar. Let's talk about Kingsmead. That has changed. I'm sure you remember playing here. Once again. Perosculation from Callis. A what? Perosculation. I know it's Sunday afternoon, Jackers, but all played. Bit of extra bounce. It's a good spell this from Dylan. He's G'd him up a little. 5-5-7 for 4. The West Indies batting line-up that have got an awful lot to do once this innings comes to a close. The lead is now 293. Chanderpaul has a thigh injury. And I spoke to Phil Russell this morning, Pat, and he tells me that he doesn't think this pitch will look a lot different on Tuesday than it did yesterday or today. I don't think it'll look that bad on Friday. Old Tar Road, nice and flat now. The wind is blow southerly.
At the moment, they're blowing cold.
One thing that Phil did say that might affect the pitch a little bit. The cracks that are on the pitch aren't in a sort of mosaic, in a sort of soup plate type formation. They're long and straight, and there are one or two in and around the off stump at each end, which might widen a little bit, and therefore the ball might misbehave just a little, either in bounce or sideways, but it's a very, very solid surface.
You'd expect it to deteriorate just a little bit, a couple of cracks. It's normal. Looking at those bats, Mackenzie's nice and thick, heavy bats nowadays. Our bats have changed over the years.
How heavy was yours?
£2.9. And yours?
2.4, 2.3, 2.4. The heaviest I ever used was 2.6. It didn't make much difference. I didn't line it up that well that often. I needed mine to be wider, not heavier. No ball called.
And longer.
Really tight call, that. So, cool. I think he's a little unlucky there. Oh, Bessie, I'm not sure that he didn't just land behind the line and then slide forward slightly. I'd actually like to see that law change just a fraction. I know there are those around the world who would go back to the back foot law. I'd be happier. I'm happy with the front foot law. That means everybody has to bowl from the same distance. But I'd give the line to the bowler. And then all the umpire's got to worry about is daylight between the heel and the line. And the less he has to worry about whether that's a no ball or not, the better he can do the job the other end.
Spoken like a true fast bowler. 5.58 for 4.
Five, 8 for 4. 294 the lead. West Indies have bowled 140 overs in this innings. There's a few more to bowl. It's in the gap, he'll get 2.
Where do they stop?
Cullis has had a fantastic performances against the West Indies in his career. This is his 12th match. He's got 1,130 runs and an average of 63. 750s, 3 centuries. He's got some wickets against him too.
You just feel for the fielders now. You see they're starting to ache. The dives are getting a bit slower to get to the ground. And early on this morning, they would have maybe stopped. It's gone past. almost wait. You get to a point where you just wait for somebody to do something that can put you out your misery. Gary Kirsten, arms crossed and probably saying to himself, I missed out on a real big one here. Another big one. Oh, that poor fast bowler there's running to fetch that ball. Knees are aching.
He was saying, you know, how much longer. I don't know whether South Africa might not want, say, 10 overs at the West Indies tonight. And they'll have to work it back a little bit. I don't know, as I say, whether this light will deteriorate as it did yesterday. There's no cloud cover today. Oh, well fielded. It's good fielding late in the day.
It is. Partnership now 46. They would have taken it to another 50 partnership in just 76 deliveries. Well fielded. Yeah, I always like to work it back, Jack, and say, right, well, when are we going to get the second new ball? You know, try and get the second new ball at a decent time of the day that coincides more or less with the tea time. So if we work that back, you probably need 20 overs tonight, 60 tomorrow till tea time. And then you can knock off the game, maybe. You don't want to leave it till the last day. Just never know. The weather in Durban at this time of the year. Wake up in the morning and it's overcast and the west is pushing in and it's going down the leg side. And suddenly you're struggling to win a game when you've totally dominated. So, and it's not going to crack up. So chasing 100, 150 or even 200 the last day is really not going to make much difference. So try and get it out of the way now as quick as possible. That's my thinking.
He's out. Caught a backward point. He's hit it like a train. He'll be absolutely furious. It had 4 written all over it, but he hit it straight at the fielder.
A long up from Merv Dillon, and Callis, you say hit it like a train, has gone straight to the station. Callis's long innings comes to an end. Short and wide, easy put away. Maybe just a little bit tired now. Good catch. Dillon happy to take it. 177. South Africa now 562 for 5.
South Africa's vice-captain Mark Boucher comes to the crease. The fall of Callis's wicket. Batting average of 30 in Test cricket, 2,500 runs. Quite a busy player too, strike rate of over 50.
I think he'll give us an indication how long the South Africans are going to bat for. Makes no pretenses. This is the reason why Boucher's in. Short and wide, cut straight to that man. Good catch.
And pretty hard. Ramnaresh Sawan. I don't know where he's going now. Soccer creeping in. Fidel Edwards. Just came on to Neil McKenzie just a little quicker than he thought.
A little surprised. Mackenzie hasn't faced a lot of Fidel Edwards. Just have a look at him. He is skiddy. He rushes you. Just have a little look. Funny kind of field placing Laura's put in now. Almost not it's a leg slip, but fine slip. Very fine, very different.
Bunch of people on the hook. There's one back at deep square leg. Lara himself's at leg slip. There's a man sort of 2/3 of the way back at square leg. Mid wicket and the mid on. Shah Cullis just 23 short of a double 100. Picks out backward point. Mackenzie aware of the field.
Here's a strategy, yeah. I'm sure it is. It's a double play. That's what I feel. They know Mackenzie hooks well, but they also know he gets trapped in the crease occasionally with a reverse swing. So they put in his mind that there's a man there, it's Lara around the corner, and there's a man on the hook. And Fidel Edwards has got some wickets bouncing people out, so Mackenzie will be aware of that. And he's got to be careful to use the feet, if it's pitched up.
That was good, wasn't it? That was positive. Sorry. It's good to see him get a big stride in, which is the route that Pep Simcox was going.
A lot of skill in there.
Well, he's hooked that. He's got all of it too. Beautifully played. There was obviously an element of risk because of the field placing, so he didn't bother with them.
Great shot from Neil Mackenzie, but we've got a challenge now. No fast bowler likes to see this. He plays the shot well, and at times your best shot can be your downfall. They push the man back now. He's hedging his bets. Short and beautifully pulled away. Right, now, does he give him another one? Does he push one up, try and bowl the Yorker?
The latter. Slightly misdirected. It's the end of the over, and I think will be the tea break. Indeed it is. Beautifully struck shot this from Mackenzie. Good extended arms. He's run in and tried hard, Fidel Edwards.
I'm glad for that bloke, Neil Mackenzie. Glad he's got off a tough time. Lara just having a chat. And the boys will go into those change rooms and put their feet up, and they'll probably have some custard slices like you and I are going to have. A cup of tea.
The man who caught Jacques Cullis out. Camera star 569, correction, for 5. 108 runs in the session from 30 overs. And the loss of Kirsten and Cullis, who broke a South African record with their partnership today of 249. Kirsten was the first to go for 137, and Cullis followed at 177. Mackenzie's gone breeze through to a very neatly played 30 from 50 deliveries. Boucher yet to face a ball. Partnerships, huge ones. 168, Cullis and Gibbs, and then the record-breaking one, 249, Cullis and Kirsten, for the 4th wicket, that is. And still Pollock and Hall to bat, along with the 2 fast bowlers, Ntini and Nell. I do hope that that is the order that is the correct one, because I think Mackay and Ntini deserves to come off the 11 slot. West Indies bowlers tried pretty hard, but they just weren't effective enough. That's the problem. Sanford, 31 overs, 2 for 132, the leading wicket taker. I was impressed with Dillon this afternoon anyway. I thought he got a little bit of fire back in him. And young Edwards has run in and done his best. Quite a lot of no balls there. 10, 20 no balls in the innings. And a match situation then at tea on the third day. West Indies all out for 264. South Africa 569 for 5.
So yet again, it's been a very good, satisfactory session for South Africa. They'll be very pleased with their afternoon's work, and of course, they go into tea in a really commanding position. What we're going to do is take a short break. John Embry and I will be going through some of the key moments of this match in a couple of minutes' time. Stay with us. Lots more still to come. We'll be looking at the earlier play between Australia and India as well. But for the moment, it's very much South Africa in control in Durban. Hello there, welcome back once again. Let's take a quick check then on the situation at tea just to confirm it for you if you've just joined us during the break. It's looking pretty good overall for South Africa. They are really cruising this at 569 for 5. They currently lead by 305 runs. Still 5 wickets to go, of course. West Indies earlier all out for 264 yesterday, but at the moment it's the West Indies who've got a real battle on their hands just to survive, let alone to even think about anything more than that. John Embry's been with me right from the start here, and John, this has been another good, solid performance. Never particularly exciting, but South Africa, very professional, got on with it and made the most of the chances.
Yeah, Callis in particular, he just accumulated his runs. I was very impressed with the way Kirsten played. He was very positive. He's normally someone that gets stuck in, he looks to bat through an innings, but today he looked very positive, purposeful. When he got the bad balls, he put them away, and I thought that he dominated the partnership between the two of them, which is very unusual when you've got Jacques Callis at the crease.
Callis hasn't had a great match with the ball, but certainly with the bat he's got no problems at all, and he was very impressive at times today.
Yeah, he's someone that values his wicket. He accumulates runs, he's very strong on the pull shot and the hook, but also on the square cut, and drives very well. So he's got all the basic shots that you need to be a successful international player. And you've got to be a good back foot player, good at cutting, good at pulling, working the ball around. You get very few half volleys in international cricket. We've seen quite a few today, but
yes,
there's been some excellent drives as well. But you know, the top players are the best players off the back foot.
Now, Kirsten, what about his contribution? Because, as you said, he played his part. Another good player, making the most of the opportunities when they came along, and there were quite a few.
Oh yeah, I mean, he missed the first test in Johannesburg. His wife had the baby. But he's come into this match, he replaced Van Jaarsveld, and he hasn't let anyone down. He's scored 137, and he's just gone about his business. And you always feel as if you've got a chance of getting Kirsten out, but he's played some great shots today and timed the ball beautifully.
And in the process, he's become the first South African batsman to get 7,000 test runs. I mean, you know, he's been around for a while, he's got all that experience, and we're seeing the best of it here.
Oh, very much so. And again, he's very much an accumulator of the runs, the side play around him. But today he's gone out there, he was positive. There was a chance earlier on that he gave, or a couple that he's got away with. You know, you need a little bit of luck as well when you get big scores, and he rode his luck today.
Well, there were several missed opportunities. We'll have a look at that in a moment, but let's have a look at the dismissals. We'll go through them. First of all, we're going to see how Kirsten went.
Yeah, Sarwan here is bowling his leg breaks wide of off stump, and Kirsten had already sort of picked him up over mid-wicket, but he's tried it again here. He's reached for the ball here and really hasn't got control. The ball has bounced, turned, and he's got the top edge, and the ball has gone straight to deep square leg where Drakes has taken a good catch.
Yes. And then this was Callis, another decent catch. It's strange, isn't it? They've taken a couple of nice catches, but they've missed so many opportunities today, the West Indies.
Yeah, and this wasn't a particularly good ball, and it should have been put away for 4, but Callis not quite getting over the ball, flat batting the shot to gully, and it was a good catch because he hit that quite hard.
Let's have a look at the missed opportunities then, because this really was worrying from the West Indies perspective. I mean, they've missed so many opportunities, drop catches, missed catches. That was Brian Lara at fault there.
Yeah, this is very early in the day, and Kirsten sort of cutting at the ball, just bouncing a little bit, and here we go, Callis this time not having any control over the hook shot, and Drakes having got there, then having to dive forward and just totally misjudged it at the end. And then we have Drakes again, just 2 overs later, Kirsten cutting, and here, as soon as Mackenzie comes in, Sarwan again, driving at the ball there, Mackenzie, just carrying, but failed to hold on to the ball.
OK, and your thoughts then about the way this match might now go, because you can really see nothing that's going to save the West Indies course here. It's going to be a huge battle to stay in the game.
No, great partnership from obviously Kirsten and Callis. They've done a job that South Africa wanted them to do, consolidated their position this morning. built on it and got them into a position to push on at any stage that the captain wants them to. But I'm sure he will. I'm sure the declaration will come at some time during the next session, probably midway through, and give his bowlers 15, 16 overs at the end of the day.
What did you make of Merv Dillon's contribution? He doesn't appear to be very inspired at the moment. He looks a bit down to me.
Well, he bowled a bit better than he did yesterday. I thought he bowled poorly yesterday, but he's bowled a much better length, a slightly better line. He's controlled it a lot better today. He didn't bowl so many 4 balls. I think that was a key. He got the ball in the right area, and he made the batsman play, and he did beat the bat once or twice today, only once or twice. But it is still a flat wicket, but the West Indies have got a lot to do.
Right, let's then confirm things as far as tea in Durban is concerned. There we are, 569 for 5, the South Africans, in response to 264 all out from the West Indies. South Africa very comfortable, leading by 305. Elsewhere, down in Wellington, another intriguing day there, New Zealand against Pakistan. New Zealand now lead by 245 in their second innings. They're 75 for 3. Mark Richardson 35 not out after Pakistan 196 all out. Ian Butler, great effort from him, 6 for 46. And earlier in the day, well, there was a nice finish to the day's action as far as Australia were concerned in Melbourne, where India closed at 27 for 2. Australia leading by 165 still after notching up a massive 558. And Ricky Ponting, second successive Test double century, 257. Kumble doing well, 6 for 176. Right, let's discuss this man, Ponting. He will dominate the headlines, and quite rightly so. It's been another wonderful knock from him, John. And we've said it before, we'll say it again, I'm sure, many times in the future, a batting genius.
No, very much so. And he's someone that's in prime form at the moment. He's a consistent player. You know, his shot selection is absolutely fantastic, and his execution of those shots is very, very good as well. He's got good balance, and he's strong both sides of the wicket, so it's very difficult for a bowling side to keep him tied down at one end. And he has this ability, if the ball's not there to hit there for 4, he's looking to work the ball around, pick up the singles, and just keep the score ticking along.
When you see somebody playing as well as this and in such a rich vein of form, it's hard to see a weakness, but presumably, like everyone, he does have a weakness.
Oh, yeah.
You must be able to get him out, you know?
It's very difficult to know where that weakness is at the moment. I mean, he pulls very strongly, he's a good driver of the ball, he's a good cutter, he's very strong off his legs. He's got a good all-round game. What you've got to try and do, I think, is just concentrate on one thing. Look to bowl, be patient, look to bowl length and line. It's easy to say because that's what all bowlers have really got to do when someone's playing as well as he is at the moment. But just concentrate on length and line, being patient. Just try and keep him quiet and make him play the big shots.
And of course he offered that one chance. He was dropped early on in the day. He only added 6 to his overnight total. But really, India left with 11 overs to face at the end of the day, and it was the worst possible start for them because they were very soon a couple of wickets down.
Yeah, they were in a no-win situation. They had nothing to play for, and it was a very tricky 11 overs. And the first wicket, Chopra, you can consider himself a little bit unlucky, actually. He's very late on the shot. The ball's gone through. Ball clips his pad. He hasn't played it particularly.
No bat at all on that, you don't think?
No, he hasn't played it particularly well. He's a little bit cramped. And here's a second wicket, Sehwag, and that was a fantastic catch by Williams at square leg. Absolutely brilliant. Had he not dived forward in front of him, and, well, to the side and forward, he wouldn't have taken it, because he's taken it about 8 or 9 inches off the ground.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't have carried had he gone square, and that was a superb catch.
OK, John, thank you for that. Now, let's just remind you folks at home, if you're not able to stay with us to the end of play, or if you've just come in and if you missed most of what's already happened today, we are back tonight at 6:30 on Sky Sports 2 with a full roundup of everything that's been happening both in Australia and South Africa. So that's day 3 in both tests, and we're on Sky Sports 2 tonight at 6:30. And then, of course, in the morning, we are back live, South Africa, West Indies, day 4 at 8 o'clock on Sky Sports 1. Right, we are now going to take a short break. More live cricket coming up in a couple of minutes' time, but that's the situation at Kingsmead in Durban. The sun is still shining. It's a glorious day. We're back there with the closing session in a couple of minutes' time. Yes, I'm sure some more brilliant cricket to look forward to in 2004. John Embry with me in the studio here. We're awaiting the final session from Durban today. John, just on the general point of the West Indies, I wonder, with England facing some critical matches against them in the coming season, what do you make of what we're seeing from the West Indies at the moment? How much satisfaction will England glean from the mess that the West Indies are making of this test?
Yeah, I'm sure the England players will be watching this series. particularly the bowlers. Michael Vaughan will be looking at this and, you know, not getting too complacent over what he's seen. I mean, the West Indies haven't really bowled well in these first 2 Test matches, but they are better players than their performances suggest at the moment. And it won't be easy in the Caribbean. The pitches tend to be a little bit more two-paced, up and down.
Yes.
And the key thing about bowling in the West Indies is to bowl straight.
Okay, thank you very much, John. More from you a little later, but right now, as you can see, we're about to get underway. Back out there at Kingsmead in Durban. Neil Mackenzie still there, not out, and New Zealand at the moment, 569 for 5. Things really looking, sorry, South Africa, let's get that right. Very comfortable at the moment, cruising this. They're looking to build a big total and maybe put the West Indies in for the last critical overs of the day. Let's now go to the action, and amongst our commentators, Tony Cozier.
Just squeezed out by Mackenzie. Good delivery first after the tea break. Imran Munshi is my partner for the first time for the day, and I hope we have a little bit longer than we had on the opening day when the play was called off just after tea. Doesn't look as if the same thing is going to happen this afternoon, Imran.
No, it certainly doesn't, and I think the West Indies won't mind if that happens again, because they had to go off at that point because of inclement weather. Wonderful delivery there from Dylan first up after tea. But you're right, Tony, it's really uphill battle here for the West Indians.
The thing is, they've only got themselves to blame. They bowled badly, atrociously yesterday. They did on the first day of the first Test match. There was no way back after that. They were always playing catch-up. They could say, with justification, that they didn't have the rub of the green here because on losing the toss they were sent in. That's the first delivery after the break, just kept out by Mackenzie. And they had the worst of the conditions batting on that first day. 65 overs, all of them under the lights. But then they bowled really badly yesterday and dropped catches today, key catches and early catches.
There was also a time when the West Indians just took the new ball, so they certainly had their opportunities, which went a begging. So as you say, they only have themselves to blame. Bowlers, of course, didn't make it any easier for the captain, Brian Lara. Really not a consistent line in length. They adopted, really sprayed all over the show. It does make captaincy indeed very difficult. Of course, injury added to that list of woes that the West Indies really faced throughout this Test series. So the South Africans just picking out their cherry, deciding on which ball they would like to use. Sean Pollock usually does the honours. And indeed, that trend has continued. Still to come for South Africa. Pollock, Hall and Teeny and Nell. They may not even get in. The scoring rate remains just above the 4 mark. The lead 305.
Yeah, how different things might have been. Not that South Africa wouldn't still have been in charge, but not so much in charge, one feels. 303 for 3 overnight, and that was already an advantage of 39. But certainly things must have been different. Had Kirsten not been dropped by Lara there. Two-handed catch above his head off Dylan when he was 22, having only added 6 to his overnight 16. And then again when he was 41, also off Dylan by Drakes in the gully. And then Callis was 85 when he was dropped. Easiest of the catches by Drakes down at long leg off Edwards. 570 for 5. South Africa ahead by 306. So really, they could declare at any time, and it wouldn't make any difference to the extent of their command in this match. Still 2 days after this, it's 36 overs left on this day, a minimum of 180 after that. So ample time for them to press on to the second victory of the series.
Yeah,
That's the buzzword, the declaration. When exactly that will happen, I don't think it'll change the course of the game, but there are a couple of options here for South Africa. Indeed, I'm sure they'll want to have a dart at the West Indians, try and knock over 2 or 3 wickets before the end of the day's play, like they did at the Wanderers. Remember, 3 wickets falling then. So that would certainly help their cause, because the West Indians have been kept out in the field for a very long time. 571 runs already, 143 overs.
And there's another consideration in that Shivnarine Chandapol, the second most experienced batsman, will be unable to bat above number 7. He would normally come at number 5 in the order, but because he has been off the field for the majority of the South African innings with a strained muscle in the thigh, it means that he won't be able to bat above number 7, further disrupting the West Indies. What will encourage him, if anything does, and they'll be looking for everything they can find, it will be that the pitch has remained in very good condition so far.
The other factor, the weather, doesn't seem to be really interrupting any proceedings for today. Clear skies, wonderful weather here at Kingsmead. 36 overs remaining in the day's play. So whereas the light over the past couple of days has faded quite dramatically towards the late afternoon, I don't see the same thing happening here today, so they'll probably get most of those overs in. And as I said, South Africa will probably look to bowl maybe 15 to 20 overs at the West Indians tonight. Scoring at this rate, that will get the lead up to around the 360, 370 mark if they continue scoring at above 4 to the over.
Boucher gets off the mark. He is an aggressive player. In fact, all those to come now are, with Pollock next and then Andrew Hall. Scoreboard has Andre Nell above Mackay and Ntini, and Ntini might have to say, or have something to say about that after the first test match, when he really took the long handle and clobbered a 6 and a couple of 4s, and Nell was at first ball. Remember that, Captain, you'll be saying? Caught behind, gone. Drakes gets the wicket. Mackenzie goes for 32. It's been hard work, and always a wicket, no matter what the position of the match. Always a wicket. It's a flag waving occasion, and Mackenzie goes for 32.
Be very disappointed with this, Neil Mackenzie. Wide, he really had a full go at it, outside edge, and a comfortable catch for Jacobs behind. Now, Mackenzie had a chance here to really play a convincing innings, but not so for the man. He's on his way back for 32. South Africa find themselves at 572 for 6. So Sean Pollock makes his way to the middle, averaging 34. Very good strike rate. Pollock approaching 3,000 runs in Test match cricket. Certainly can strike the ball very well. Ideal situation for him here, coming in with a score on 572. So we should see Pollock continue with his aggressive stroke play. Slower delivery this time, and Mackenzie really went and fetched that one outside the off stump. And you can see the reaction on his face there, just pure disappointment.
That's the reduction in the pace that we saw from Drakes. Just taking a wrap off, finding the edge. Mackenzie going for it. A low catch to Jacobs. So a little session here that the West Indies have managed to lift themselves a little bit off the floor with the wickets of both the century maker Scullis and Kirsten, and now Mackenzie.
though these are both stroke makers, Boucher and Pollock, it does give the West Indians an opportunity here just to reset the field, maintain a line and length that gives them the opportunity maybe to play with an extra slip, 1 or 2 men catching. This pitch has turned out to be such a good batting track. Very docile. It's going to be difficult. I think certainly the spinner's role here for South Africa, Tony, is going to play a role. Now they don't have. They remember, judging by the conditions on the first day, South Africa decided to go without Paul Adams, and I think that is going to be a key factor. It's not going to be easy to dismiss the West Indian batsmen.
Same thing with the West Indies. I think if this was the first day, Adams would have played and Dave Mohammed would have played. But influenced by the conditions on the first day and all the reports of plenty of rain in Durban for 2 weeks before, and the groundsman, head groundsman Phil Russell, was saying that there was some moisture in the pitch. It looked grassy. Sky was so low you felt you could touch it on that opening day. Floodlights were on, and a lot of rethinking was done. West Indies using 4 seam bowlers, South Africa 5, and leaving the left arm wrist spinners out. Nice shot off the legs, down behind square, and not quite going. Deep square leg has the opportunity to go around to make the save. But I know that Lara certainly before play overnight was keen to have Mohammed in the side. That just was changed around. He has a feeling that there are a few South African batsmen, gauging by what happened in the West Indies in 2001, who are not as adept against the wrist spin as they are against other types of bowling, including Mackenzie and a few down at the end of the order, who are good batsmen in their own right.
Yeah, I think there's an element of truth to that, certainly, because if you look at South African cricket over the past couple of years, we haven't really been able to find a consistent player in the side that would perform that role. Paul Adams by far has been the best, but just in recent times there's been a bit of inconsistency as far as the selection is concerned as well, and we haven't really seen very good wrist spinners develop through the South African structures.
Ends the over from Dillon, 5.74 for 6. Sean Pollock will face Vaspert Drakes for the first time. Drakes has had a rather up and down match. Played really well for his 67 in the West Indies first innings, which continued the revival started by Lara and Jacobs. He and Sanford put on 70 for the 9th wicket. But then those 2 drop catches this morning, which have proved so critical, and having to wait until his 25th over before he gets his first wicket. Eventually did hold a catch on the mid-wicket boundary to get rid of Kirsten, but it was a little bit too late. If he'd held the first one at Gully, what a difference that would have made. And now he adds a no ball to the extras.
Tough game, this. You could be at your best one session, and really everything could be going against you the next.
Confirmation of the no ball. He's 6th in the match. And 1 wide added to those extras from Drake's as well. Back to offside field here for Pollock.
Chase here for 2 fielders. You'll get a couple. Edwards is onto it. Looking at the Cape Town Test match, which starts on January 2nd. Might just see the spinners come into their own there, or come into the team if not their own. Mohammed hasn't played. That's a catch that sent Mackenzie on his way right after tea. Mohammed hasn't played a test yet. Adams has played a number, got over 100 test wickets.
Yes, Paul Adams has got 132 test wickets. I say personally, Tony, I've been very disappointed that he wasn't included in this particular match. Even though the conditions suited the seamers, I don't think that the expectations were that it would be like that for 5 days. It just does offer the captain some variation, some flexibility in his approach or his strategy.
If you've got 4, as South Africa do, what do you need 5 for if 4 can't do it in what were considered helpful conditions before the match? Why would you need 5?
Absolutely 100% in agreement with that. And judging from the way the pitch has responded to Sarwan, I think any spinner of any ability would be able to turn it on this track now.
So we might see just a bit of Jack Rudolph's leg spin then. Same way that Lara has used Sarwan, but with an advantage of 313, which will build up to something over 350, you would think, or maybe even more than that. It is a luxury which South Africa can afford to use. Rudolph's leg spin. Right through him. Well, that's a poor piece of fielding. It just went straight through. And that's a pretty good fielder. Substitute Dwayne Smith, he'll be very disappointed with that. 579 for 6. Yeah, here's that piece of misfielding. Really should have saved that quite comfortably. Dwayne Smith, the substitute. He's out there because he's reckoned to be a good fielder, and he is, generally speaking. But, well, he's not accustomed to this type of pressure. That's another consideration with so many of the young West Indians. Not accustomed to being on a cricket field for as long as they've been kept out there. Smith is one. Very limited first-class experience.
Interesting that, Tony, I wondered, in the West Indies at the moment, are there any other seamers that would, you know, in the same, say, class as Dillon and Drake's possibly, knocking at the door for selection at national level?
Well, there certainly is one here, 19-year-old Ravi Rampal. But he has been brought for the experience. A quick single taken. Underarm return, darting in from mid-wicket. Smith once more. But a very quick single taken, and in the end getting home. Just tapped on the onside. And both took off right away. Smith darting in, but couldn't get there. Good pickup, underarm return. Even if the ball had hit the stumps, he'd be home. Yeah, Rampal is here. He's only 19. He'll go to the Under-19 World Cup in Bangladesh in February. And brought here with so many players as well. For the experienced Jerome Taylor played a couple of tests against Sri Lanka. And he's only 19, and then played a test in Zimbabwe, broke down there, and is back home now with a back injury. So there are a few coming through. Of course, Pedro Collins, the left arm fast bowler, has played a number of tests for the West Indies in recent times. Kerry Jeremy from Antigua has been knocking on the door. And of course Jermaine Lawson, who is genuinely quick and got 7 wickets in an innings against Australia in the test match. But he's had to have his action straightened out. And also has a back injury as well. These back injuries and thigh injuries and all sorts of injuries. Having the youngsters, and England are suffering from it as well. So is New Zealand with Shane Bond out of action. Which just emphasizes the durability of someone like Sean Pollock.
I don't think South Africa have been immune to that syndrome as well, because they battled to find eventually. I think Nell is establishing himself into the South African side. They've had their fair share of injury problems as well. Ngam certainly is someone that South Africa will look at for the future. There's Dewald Pretorius, who made his debut in England, but ultimately through injury broke down. So I think there's a wonderful opportunity for somebody like Nell to really establish himself, because Pollock's not going to be around for too much longer. So they need somebody to partner with Ntini. May have found a man here for South Africa.
Catch it, they said, but he hit it pretty well. Edwards is after it. He'll dive and pull it back, or does he? He doesn't. Goes all the way for 4. Fast bowler tried his best to make the save. 585 for 6. So boundary off the last ball of the previous over to Boucher. Drakes will continue now to Pollock.
Pollock really one of the best strikers of the ball, very clean striker. Already got a couple of hundreds to his credit. There's the boundary of Boucher, officially played past the bowler. But he certainly had enough on it. It was a long chase for Fidel Edwards here. You see, just didn't manage to make contact. I don't think he touched the ball actually. It just rolled into the fence for 4.
He had a couple of things to consider there. Pulled away, hammered. Almost every time Vasquez Drakes has been short, he has been hammered away. He really has lost a lot of pace, and he's too slow to expect any sort of assistance from a pitch like this when he bangs it in short. And Pollock really climbed into it.
I certainly think by now he would have realized that at that pace you cannot drop it short, especially to the likes of Pollock, really a good stroke maker, quick to latch on to that one. And nice balance, struck that way in front of square for 4. Just looks so confident as Pollock when he plays with that nice straight broad bat of his. Wonderful technique he has here. Gets himself into a wonderful position, and freeing those arms, times the ball very, very well.
Has been outstanding against the West Indies. Had a great tour in 2001 when he was captain. Got 100 in the Barbados Test match. No ball now from Drakes. Second in successive overs.
They've opted for a man catching at short cover. Brian Lara himself in that position on the drive. So there's confirmation of the no ball. He's 7th now. Much better length that from Drakes. Really can't afford to bowl it short.
Just a stifled appeal on the pad. Lara's 100th Test match and played really well in the first innings to try and pull the West Indies out of difficulty. But it's a tough one for him as captain, and a tough one as well. And the demands are on him to try and make runs again in the second innings. Sean Pollock's innings in this series, but look back on the Test matches he's had against the West Indies. Played all 5 here in 98, 99. Then the ones in the Caribbean, 5 in 2001. Good series that. End of the over from Drakes. 591 for 6. The lead is 327.
Now leave it on the West Indies player. I don't like it on me.
.327 ahead for South Africa. Another 31 overs remaining for the day. So the question is, how many overs will Graeme Smith want his bowlers to get at the West Indies batsmen this afternoon? Dillon continues in the commentary box now. Mike Haseman and Pat Simcox.
Thank you, Tony. Yes, I think that's the discussion around the living rooms at the moment. How much longer will South Africa bat for? I'll be really surprised, and I know that obviously Tony and Imran have been chatting about it, and most of the commentators all day. Be really surprised if South Africa don't ensure they have about a dozen overs at the West Indies tonight, particularly after what happened in the first test at the Wanderers when they lost 3 quick ones.
I think a dozen's too little, has he?
I think my concern, Pat, is obviously the light, and yesterday the light was offered at 20 to 5. They eventually went off at 5 o'clock. And now it's, what are we? We've got 25 minutes to 4 local time. What do you think? You're a local boy.
Yeah, the light's good today. But the reason why I would say more, I tell you, because your two firers are on Tini and Pollock. You want to give them a good run at them. That's 5 each. That's 10. And I want Nell and Hall to have a go. So there would be another 3 or 4 each. So, you know, we're getting up to that 14, 15 overs, which would be about right.
I could have sworn we had this same conversation in the test match in the Wanderers. Pat, well, you wanted 20 overs and I said about a dozen. What was the story? I can't remember.
Yeah, I was working it backwards from the new ball. And the new ball, the 80 overs must be due around about the tea time tomorrow. Which means if you've got them 6 down or 7 down, you bring the new ball back and you may be able to clean up a tail and finish the game early and not rely on coming back on the 5th day and hoping that the weather's good. That's Merv Dillon. He's really toiled. Poor bloke's got 100 already.
He's got a few mates as well. Edwards, 115. Sanford, 132. Drake's, 101. And I suppose we can add Gibbs, 142. Callis, 177. Kirsten, 137.
What is Merv Dillon's height? Or what was it when he started the tour?
He was 6'6" in Zimbabwe. I asked him. He said 6'6". What do you think he is now?
Oh, I think he's down to about 6'5", and by the time they get finishing the one days, he could be your height, around about 5'4".
Thanks, Pat. He's carrying a load, that's for sure. Right, Pat, let's just go back now. Okay, so I'm concerned about the light. You don't think there'll be any problems. Do you think we'll get the full 31 overs or 30 overs after this in today, or do you think there'll be some interference with bad light?
What are we looking at? 30 overs at 15 to the hour, probably 14, 15. 2 hours from now, I'll go close. I think it'll go close. See the easterly blowing. When the easterly blows, the clouds don't come up. It's called the northeasterly. We call it the easterly as locals.
Okay, so you think we'll be okay, but that means that you're saying a declaration should be just around the corner.
That's what I'm saying. I know they've chosen the balls. We saw Sean Pollock having a look at them. Merv Dillon today, well, scattergun. That's why he's gone for 108.
But in saying that, he's been the pick of the bowlers, so that graph is pretty good compared with some of the others we've seen throughout the day. That was, by the way, to right and left-handers. Once one is Mark Boucher. Pollock has to scamper. They won't come back for a second one. 593 for 6. So there's a look at all the good work that South Africa have done. West Indies got good recovery. Let's not forget they got to 264 after being 5 for 50 at one stage. And South Africa now 593 for 6. 30 overs remain in the day. The lead is 329 now. A bit of urgency for Mark Boucher suddenly. Of course, we've also got to take into consideration it's going to be very, very tough for the West Indies when they do go out to bat. Patrick, they've after this over, they've been in the field for 150 overs. That is a long, long time.
Exactly. And that is why. This was the last over. Now, Lara picked it up left-handed, turned around and throws. Had he hit, he was way off target, but had he hit, he could have been in a bit of trouble. Yeah, it's a long time to be in the field and walk out and concentrate. And it's all right going in for 5 or 6 overs and just hanging in there, but there's an extended period of 14, 15 overs, bound to be a wicket or two.
I know that throughout this whole test match we've been talking about the fact that the West Indies bowlers have not been getting the ball in the right zones, in the right areas. One thing that I've been really amazed about is the high percentage of short balls they've bowled. Obviously when you come to a place like Durban, you know the ball's going to bounce a little bit more, so you do tend to want to dig the odd one in. This is Brian Lara just having a shy at the stumps of the last ball of the previous over. But they certainly haven't worried too much about digging in halfway down and bowling the short balls and trying to get it past the batsman's ears. Here's a little leg spinner from Vaspert. Pretty tidy one as well.
Different version of the slower ball. He had one where he got a wicket with. It was Neil Mackenzie. It was the off spinner. That one was the leg spinner. It takes a good amount of skill to do it. The ball can easily slip out. The best exponent of that I've seen and played against was Harvey. And what it does do, you can see the extended bounce. It's almost like a tennis topspin. Kicks up on you. Hard to drive.
Pull shot. Pretty well connected. There is protection out there, so Carlton Bohr it is. It'll just be the single to bounce, but again another short delivery. So Vaspert trying to stick one right up the nose of his former teammate at border.
Boucher's strong in that area. He's a man back. I would have thought by now Vaspert would know that Mark Boucher is very strong on the pull.
I would have thought they would have known that Jacques Callis doesn't mind playing the shot either. He must have played about 20 pull shots, I reckon.
Well, he should have been out on one. Going back to Callis's innings, he played exceptionally well. Picked up 177 off 344 balls, but I can't help thinking that had he just dominated a fraction longer, a fraction more, 344 deliveries is a long time to get only 177 on this track. That's the ball we talked about.
It's the hardest of the slow balls to bowl. Hardest one to control.
Puts a big strain on the shoulder as well.
Another short one. 150 overs up now. 596 for 6. South Africa's total now is 7th on that list of all-time highest test totals for South Africa. 596 for 6. And not too far away from a couple others. They're going to overtake that one against Zimbabwe reasonably soon.
Yeah, the second one interests me.
Thought it might. So that's a good solid drive from Mark Boucher. I like the way Mark Boucher goes about his cricket. He's a nice busy player. There's always things happening when he's out there. Someone who likes to be contained.
622 for 9 it was.
What year was that, Patrick, by the way? Did you
About
spot
69, 70. Well, with that famous year when we had the Chappells and those guys playing. Am I right? Was it that year?
Dillon continues. Another slower delivery that time from Mervyn Dillon. He's going to be a tied man. He's into his 33rd over now. There's a look at where South Africa have scored their runs. It's been pretty well split on the leg side and also the offside. 104 runs through that third man region. That's always interesting to calculate that total. And again, if I just mention those, well, have been mentioning those short balls, you can see that 113 also through that mid-wicket region and 125 around a fine leg. So it really is an indication, I think, that leg side shots have been played to that sort of bowling.
Takes a lot of effort to bowl those deliveries at this time of the day. Yeah, he's in his 33rd, as you say, but you feel he's been the pick of the bowlers. For me, Sarwan has been the pick of the bowlers. 15 overs, got a wicket for 53, just over 4 and over, which is part-time leg spinner. Should have bowled more in my opinion.
He's going to have some batting to do, that's for sure. You don't want to tire him out too much. The run rate, that's been one of the key features of this performance from South Africa. Of course, that's the reason, Patrick, that there's so much time left in this test now. We're just over the halfway mark of the test match. We've got still 2 full days coming up. We've got 28 overs scheduled for today and 2 full days of test match cricket. The run rate has been very, very good at 4 per over.
This is the leg cutter. So a little bit slower.
Just one keeping a fraction low. Mark Boucher to work it on the leg side and get down the other end.
Disappointed that the West Indies haven't had someone to try and block up an end. Maybe, now when I say Sarwan, just in our last delivery, just staying down. The leg spinner, maybe round the wicket, into the leg stump, into the rough. Just try and slow it down from one end, block an ender.
I think you're being a bit optimistic about Ran Rosan. I'm not sure he's got that sort of ability, Patrick, to block an end and not give any runs away. He bowled too many freebies for my liking. That might have to be bowled again. Yes, it will. Darryl Hare gets a little bit of exercise out there in the middle. That's been their problem, Pat. That's exactly been their problem. They've had no one who's been able to really bowl a good tidy line and length and just block up one end, as, say, for example, as Sean Pollock does.
Yep. sign of a tight bowler. Co-wards aren't really working that well now. Just a normal delivery, nothing fancy, just well directed. Legs are feeling heavy. Arm up, pull down and through, not easy now.
Past the outside edge to end the over. 598 for 6. So the lead now, 334. Look at the fall of wickets down the bottom. Smith when the scores on 38, Rudolph 99, Gibbs 267, Kirsten with a score on 516, Callis 562, and then a bit of a reprieve for the West Indies. Mackenzie went just 10 runs later. Overstepping, he's going to have to bowl that one again, Vasper Drakes, but once again it was a short ball.
Just too many extras as well. 37 of them. No balls are plenty. So we're tired and striving for a little bit of pace. Now the problem that Brian Lara's got to be careful of is not over bowling men like Drakes and Dillon, because they're his workhorses for the rest of the tour. And you get to a point where, at the end of the day, they just every day they're running in, and between tests, just 2 days off, you're back into the fray again. Of course, the one advantage is if you carry on this way, playing this kind of cricket, you only bowl once.
Vasper Drake certainly just trying to, a bit of a mutter there to his former teammate. Obviously very good mates, Vasper Drakes and Mark Boucher. No, he's just mixing things up a little bit now, Vasper Drakes, just trying a few different deliveries. The one on the left, of course, is that slow ball out of the back of the hand that we were talking about before. The one on the right is just the standard delivery. His standard ball is generally an away swinger. So there's the variations that you can do, and just try and unsettle the batsman as much as possible. Hand speed the same, arm speed the same. That's the important thing about the slower ball, the one on the left, so that obviously it's not easily picked up by the batsman. Oh, that's very close. That could well be out. It is out. It's come back in, angled in to Mark Boucher. Vasper Drakes will be very pleased with that one. Bit of rivalry, of course, bit of friendly rivalry between Drakes and also Boucher. Bit of a mutter the ball before, and he set Boucher now on his way.
Initial thoughts that it tracked back a long way from outside off. And, well, as height is also a question. Let's have a look and see what Hawkeye says. Yep, it's clipped it. Only just. Good decision. So the end of vice captain Mark Boucher. Mark Boucher gone for 12. South Africa just 1 run short of 600.
It is a very long batting lineup for South Africa. The 7th wicket has fallen, and Andrew Hall coming out number 9 in the list. Behind him is Mackay-Ntini and also Andre Nell. That's the order it should be. Wander's test match, it was Nell at 10 and Mackay-Ntini at 11. But just playing in his 9th test match. He's been around for a long time as Andrew Hall. An average of 26 and a half. Best 99 not out. That was a good thing. Not too far away, actually. That was just a few tests ago. He didn't play in the test series in Pakistan due to being banned, so a bit of an opportunity for him to have a bit of a bat and enjoy the conditions out there. .250s as well. Certainly was an interesting tour he had of England when he was added to the squad. He got that score of 99 not out, and Mackay-Ntini, I think it was, Mackay got bowled at the non-strikers then when he took a single off the first ball of the over, and you could almost sense in his face that he knew he made that error. Mark Boucher will be disappointed with this. It jagged back some distance, and as Patrick said, the height was interesting, but it would have just clipped the top of the stumps.
Seemed to rush him just a little bit more than what he expected, and maybe it stayed down just a little bit more as well. But credit to Vasper, he's run in.
Just continuing that conversation regarding Andrew Horn England. Of course, 99 not out, but he batted 3 other times. He got 2 first ballers and a 1. I think he served his country best with his bowling.
This is the dismissal at normal speed. See Boucher not in a position to play it, playing across the line, rushed him a little bit, stayed down on him, and just clipping the top of the leg stump. It's a good decision.
There's that one out of the back of the hand again.
What do you reckon Andrew Hall's instructions are?
Play a natural game. 7 wickets down now with just Makayantini and Andre Nell to go. I still think they'll bat for a little bit longer than what you think they will, Pat. In fact, you've got about, according to your calculations, about 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
I've never known you to be right yet.
Yep.
That's nice and fine. And fine leg square. 4 runs. $603 for 7. And that lead extends to 339.
Looking at the 50s, the way they come up, the fourth 50 came up in 48 deliveries. And that was when Herschel Gibbs was in full cry. And it slowed down somewhat towards the end, 84 and 101, the 1250 and 1150. It's really, I'm not sure that's correct. You should really be speeding it up from there. You should be dominating now to the point of extreme. Men should be on the boundary by now. Let's see Pollock do it.
Sanford back into the attack. Down towards Castle Corner for a single. Of course, it could have been a very different story today for the West Indies. The worst thing they would have wanted if they'd arrived at the ground this morning and written on a piece of paper what's the worst thing that can happen today, it would be that obviously Kirsten and Callis get hundreds and that they both get missed. This was Brian Lara missing Gary Kirsten very early in the day's play. First 2 catches went down inside 40 minutes, so that was 1. This was another one. It was Vasper Drakes who missed him down at fine leg, who for some reason got the dive in here, which really surprised me. He could have kept running, I think, at full speed and caught it reasonably comfortably. That's sweetly hit by Andrew Hall. He's going to want to come back and try and pick up the second. He does so.
Yeah, it was a game of missed opportunities this morning. Now, Vasper Drakes again, like a dying swan.
Yes, that was in the space of about 6 balls, Drakes, and this was Neil McKenzie on 3 when Ramres Sarwan missed a caught and bowled opportunity, which he should have taken. So there's 4 catches which have contributed to this very, very strong position that South Africa are in. Kirsten and Callis could have been back early, also McKenzie. To sliding leg side.
Well, was there a bat on there? Not sure there was going that far down. He just looked lazy on the ball. It might have stayed down a little bit. Let's have a look at it again. Yeah, going down, no bat on it. Easy run if you just get a bat on it. Huge area, square of the wicket on the onside.
Oh, there's another one down. We've just showed you a little package of all the catches that have been put down by the West Indies, and we've got to add another one to it. And that's going to add insult to injuries. It goes for 4. Goodness me, this fielding has been extremely poor.
Well, Brian Lara's got the teapot out. Arms are folded. He cannot believe this. Cut, top edge. And he never looked like catching it. Hit him before he was even ready. Darren Ganga and Brian Lara stood at slip all day. He moved himself out and bang, there comes the catch.
There's that area that Patrick was talking about. There's plenty of room there to come back and get a couple of runs. Gee, that will just demoralise the West Indies side, and they've got such a job ahead of them now in this Test match to get obviously back in the series, and one of the opening batsmen has put a catch down.
Yeah, and you wonder what impact that has in his mind now. Ready to bat. There it is in quick, in real time. And in real time and no time, he dropped it.
.612 for 7. It's only the 6th time that 3 players have got centuries for South Africa in a Test innings, and just the 4th time that they've been all in the top 6 batsmen. Pollock on strike now to Drakes. Just 2 runs away from the lead of 350 here, Patrick. I wonder if that's going to be any sort of milestone. Your time tends to be running out a little bit here, although I'm not saying you're wrong with your predictions.
Well, what are you saying?
You're wrong with your prediction.
Well, he doesn't look like he's ready to get out in the park. Nice and relaxed.
The South African skipper looking very cheerful, as he would do in this position. But what is going to be the focus, I think, of the rest of this Test match is the performance of the West Indies skipper. It's almost as though it's Brian Lara against South Africa when they're batting. There's Darren Ganga, who's going to be opening the batting. Of course, Chris Gale has been missed, I think, also with the ball in this Test match as well. He's one of those guys who can actually block up and in from time to time.
I keep hearing that. And to date, I haven't seen his figures don't tell you that he does it regularly. Not on South African pitches anyway.
The West Indies have certainly missed his batting, that's for sure. He's an explosive hitter of the ball.
I'll go with that. They've missed that.
And he was in good nick as well after the tour to Zimbabwe.
Yeah, so he should be man of the series. Got to be in good nick. You finish that.
Quick single. That's good running from Sean Pollock. That lead is gone to 351 now.
Well, Pollock's showing us that he can count. And, he knows getting near the end of the over. I'm going to get on the other side. Lara, he looks dejected. It's been a real tough old day in Africa. It hasn't treated him well, South Africa, in past tour. And it's the same old show going again. He's got to some way get some help.
I think that's the important thing, Pat. He can't do it himself. Of course, he got that double 100 of the Wanderers Test, which is sensational. He got the 70-odd in the first innings here in very, very tough conditions when the West Indies battled under lights for their entire innings, and was very overcast and very bowler-friendly. Some of those senior players out there have got to stick their hand up and be counted. The likes of Shivran Chanapur, who's got a groin strain, so he's going to be in trouble perhaps, and obviously won't be able to bat until the fall of the 5th wicket, which is not great news to the West Indies anyway. Darren Ganga's been around for some time. He got back-to-back hundreds against Australia, so he's proved that he can play. And of course, the vice-captain, Ramres Sarwan, someone else who should be scoring runs more consistently than he does. 154 overs gone, 616 for 7. We've been blessed with some very good weather today in Durban, which has been nice to see. High expected around about 28 degrees, just getting a little bit cooler than that, I think, at the moment as we get towards the end, or later in day 3. The commentary box now for the next half hour or so. Barry Richards and Robin Jackman.
Thanks, Mike. Well, the question, I guess, is how much longer? There's 25 overs to be bowled in the day. 2 will be lost between innings if South Africa do intend bowling at the West Indies tonight, which it looked as if it did earlier on. We saw Sean Pollock picking the new ball that he wanted to use. Just a question of how many overs they might want of them tonight. Barry, what's your guess?
Well, anything from now on doesn't matter. I think it's not one of those ones that's going to have to be precise with this sort of lead, Jacker. So I think probably 15 is something more or less along the lines of the Wanderers. Baldwin, the opposition have got 600.
No. I certainly haven't bowled when the team I've been playing for has got 600. Put it that way. This is when Test cricket is very tough, and it is a test. These West Indian bowlers. It's been a long, hard haul.
400s. Yeah, it's tough, all right.
Too many things have gone wrong too. They've dropped, what, 4 or 5 catches today? 2 of them early on, critical.
Right, and how would you feel as an opening batsman? That's the thing I did most of my career as a professional, and that's what you dread. Been out there fielding, it's been pretty hot today. You're starting to get geared up about having to just fight them off tonight and tomorrow morning if you happen to survive. Just haven't bowled that bouncer high enough. I know it's not that kind of wicket when the ball gets a bit older, but you just have to go shorter and make sure that when they fetch the ball across, they can't control it, and you've got half a chance. You see here Andrew Hall looking to go forward, but then the ball is about chest high. Not ideal with the viewing. Watch the head. That is how not to play it.
They'll look for 2 here and get it. Pollock back very quickly. 6:21 for 7.
Well, now, if you're not able to stay with us to the end of play, or indeed if you've just come in and you've missed all the earlier action, don't worry, because there's a full roundup of the day's action tonight on Sky Sports 2. That's all the action from day 3 of Australia against India, and of course all the action from the match we're enjoying now, South Africa against the West Indies, day 3. That's at 6:30 tonight on Sky Sports 2. John Embry with myself, David Bovin.
Agnew being piled on. Just a query here, Jack, is if they happen to have few overs, quite a few overs tonight at them, and Chanderpaul hasn't been on the field all day, and you do happen to make inroads, it mightn't be a bad idea to try and get them in as early as possible, so that you've got the situation which Chanderpaul is not allowed to bat because he hasn't been on the field. So it's, I mean, not a big consideration, but something that should be considered.
Is he not going to have that problem anyway, though? He hasn't been on the field the whole day. It happened with Chris Gale, was off, and he couldn't bat before number 7, though he came in a little bit lower than that. Even he came in after Vasco Drakes. I think Chanderpaul's cooked his goose already in terms of what number he's got to bat. But as you say, if you can get the earlier players out and apply some pressure to the tail before he even can come in. Yeah, I just think whatever theories one comes up with, the most important thing for South Africa to do next is to get 10 wickets in order to win the game. I just get the impression that it might be better to get on with doing that, because this pitch is still going to be a very good pitch on Tuesday to bat on if they got to knock off 100 or 120 or whatever.
He's tried that a couple of times, and he's bowling around the wicket as a defensive tactic, looking for the rough outside the leg stump. Maybe it's better for Andrew Hall to actually move more towards leg.
Take it, sir.
Chip that. How lucky is that? Leading edge. Just change the angle a little bit. Sarwan's obviously knows and given away where he's going to bowl to, so you want to create the angle or the area that you want to hit from. So move accordingly at the crease. See the leading edge?
Get one. I'm not sure whether he hit it or whether it's a bye or... No, he did get a bat on it.
Did he? Well, it might have been the brush of the gloves, was it? On the wrist area. Just with the hands. I don't think that hit any part of the glove, so difficult to see from that angle as an umpire. Just angling it in. 6:22 for 7.
The lead now 358. Cullis 177, Gibbs 142, Kirsten 137. Certainly no real urgency. It's not as if these two are looking to play a little sort of one-day innings here. It's where Sarwan's been looking to land the ball outside the leg stump to the right-hander. One. That's the highest score by South Africa in South Africa. Barry Richards knew that before anybody else, for a very good reason. That's 4. That's just what you need as a bowler when you're tired. You got 2 slips in place and it's gone right between the 2.
Just about sums up the day. 156 overs. They haven't all been impressive. Every now and again they bowled a good ball. This was one of them. Mostly on line. Caught on the crease for Sean Pollock, straight between the 2.
And the reason you knew that, Barry?
I played on the last one a long time ago, 1970. Be the Aussies. Very different ground. Change rooms were on the side. Slightly bigger ground. And they put the ropes in now, and that's all to do with litigation. I guess you don't want people sliding into the pickets as they were in the old days. There are the highest scores. 6:22 for 9 declared. In fact, Sean Pollock was at the crease when this happened, and his dad was at the crease when the other one happened.
Well, there you go. Just helped down to fine leg for 1. scores. 620 for 7 declared against Pakistan, Cape Town. Last year. Last season. And 572 against England in Durban. .628 for 7. Overall highest scores at Kingsmead are the two we've just mentioned today. Second on that is 628 for 7. And 622 that Barry played in. That highest score at the ground by a side other than South Africa was made by England. Pollock trying to make a little bit of room there, Barry.
Yeah, I think he should move outside leg. There's only 3 on the offside, and then just hit with the spin. See here, it's a better area to try and hit it on the offside. There's just too many fielders on the leg side. It's all a defensive mechanism, of course, and not that it matters that much, but I think if you want to try and take the bowlers on, then you could move outside leg and hit it on the offside. He's a good offside player, Sean Pollock.
Come to a standstill in a moment. .628 for 7 wickets. Sanford to continue.
Drifting. Time to bowl, guys.
No.
When you were in the field, as you were saying earlier, as an opening batsman all your life, you start sort of looking up at opposition dressing rooms to see whether the captain was likely to clap his hand or ring a bell or whatever, to try and give you some time to prepare?
I think it's a little easier these days because they have the casual gear. They're going to pinch a single here. That's not very good cricket. They have. They've got casual gear, and as soon as you see the captain with a white cricket shirt on, then you knew that the time was getting a bit closer. And to try and do a little bit of planning. You know, you'd work out who was going to bowl and perhaps what a target score might be for that particular night. But it's always an awkward time to come in and have to play yourself in and then have to play yourself in again. if they get 20 odd overs or just under, they've got every chance of getting a couple of wickets, maybe even 3.
Allow the Wanderers. Over the top. Drinks break after this next ball, so no doubt some form of message will come out with the drinks, I would think.
He'll be contemplating Wavell Hans. He's got to open the batting and he's on a pair.
Good shot. Just slapped it back past him. Take the score on to 634 now for 7. And Drinks are coming onto the field. Have one more look at that shot. It's just a tired delivery and smashed away with disdain as if, well, come and bowl properly at me, will you? So that's the scorecard. 3 centuries, 142 for Gibbs, 177 for Callis, 137 for Kirsten. And Drinks in South Africa, 634 for 7.
Well, things don't really get much better for the West Indies, do they? Because having been out for 264, South Africa have now amassed 634 for 7. They currently lead by 370 runs, and surely this game is already beyond the West Indies' reach. It's just a matter whether or not they can save face and stay in this as we approach the closing 20 overs of day 3. John Embry, what do you think is the situation now as far as South Africa are concerned? Really, when do they declare? Or are they going to see it through and then give themselves a couple of days to just finish them off?
No, I think they'll get them in tonight, so they got an opportunity having a new ball tonight and then a hard ball still tomorrow morning, and they'll be looking to pick up a wicket or 2 this evening. I should imagine in the next 5 or 6 overs they'll look to declare and have
by which time they'll have a 400 lead.
Oh, comfortably. Losing wickets at this stage is irrelevant, and the probability is that Smith has got enough runs on the board already with 370. Getting more on the board really it's just a matter of Pollock then just accumulating some runs and Hall getting runs quickly. His best bet is probably to declare in the next 5 or 6 overs, try and get into the West Indies batting. Last couple of days we've had some overcast weather in Durban. They've come off early and he won't want to risk losing a couple of hours over the next 2 days to bad weather. And I'm sure that he'll get him in very shortly.
These are worrying times, though, for the West Indies, because, of course, they've got the next test looming in a couple of days' time down in Cape Town. There's no respite, and they're going to be in big trouble there, I would have thought, if this goes, as we think it will, way beyond them.
Well, they've certainly got to pick themselves up. Their fielding has been pretty awful today. They've dropped about 5 catches. That's cost them dearly. They dropped Kirsten and Callis at the beginning of the day. They're dropping wickets at regular intervals, and here's another high one going up and dropped again. Well, talking about 5, it's 6.
This just goes from bad to worse, doesn't it? Let's go back now to Durban and join the action.
Really is one of the worst deliveries you'll see in Test cricket. It should have brought about a wicket. Look at the hands, nowhere near where they should be. Fingers not even together. He's going to get some applause there, and he didn't do that with a lot of confidence. But his hands, the positioning of his hands when the ball came to him, I mean, just had absolutely no chance.
You talked about this, Barry, when we were last on air together. They're just, well, they're nowhere, are they? I mean, I'm finding it difficult to describe how poorly positioned they were. They weren't even together to start with.
Well, have a look at his eyes. Look, they don't even go down. It gets him not bad there, and then look how they separate. And that's the one thing you don't want to do. That's a better idea from Sean Pollock, looking to hit with the spin on the offside where there's only 3 men.
Adam Sanford is the man who is feeling embarrassed. Oh, 6:36 for 7.
Just a chance to remind you that if you've missed all the live action today, don't worry, there's a full roundup tonight at 6:30. We'll be bringing you right up to date with what's been happening in Melbourne. Australia against India, another terrific day for Australia, and Ricky Ponting in particular. And also, of course, the best moments from the game we're currently enjoying, South Africa against the West Indies. So full highlights of all of today's play tonight at 6:30 on Sky Sports 2.
36 for 7. The West Indies have dropped 6 chances that I can think of today.
They're the kind of side that if they really want to improve and compete with South Africa or get anywhere close to them, the one thing that they have to do well is field well. You just cannot do that at international level. Far too casual. They need a specialist fielding coach. Their throwing is not all that good either.
He hasn't had to move. He's just hit it straight to him. Is he looking at the ball? I don't know that he was watching the ball down into his hands, Barry.
Absolutely not. Oh dear, oh dear.
Straight on the toe. That can be sore. Some leg stump. It's Kirsten twice. Cullis once. Hall's been dropped at slip. Pollock has been dropped at fine leg. That's 5. The 6th one. Courtney Bold. Mackenzie. So 6 different batsmen, 5 different batsmen have been dropped. Kirsten having 2 lives. One of them very difficult, it must be said.
It's a bit of a loss here, Jackers. It's sort of almost like he's not playing his natural game. 637 for 7. Brian Lara, man with problems. But all Brian Lara's got to look forward to at the moment is to have a knock on a very good batting pitch. Exposing that leg stump, he might easily get bowled round his legs if he's not careful. Andrew Hall needs to make sure that left pad is outside the leg stump. That's why I say move a little bit more down the leg side, then you can have a really free hit at it. Go with the spin, Polly.
Well fielded.
Garandanga. Darren Garandanga. Dear, oh dear. Well, that was a bizarre over in a way. 6:39 to 7. $6.39 for 7. Now the declaration does look imminent. One more to Pollock. And the next half hour, he'll be in the company of Imran Munshi and Mike Hazeman.
Thanks, Fox. Yeah, I reckon it looks like that 400-run lead. That's the call now, which they could easily, I think, bring the boys in, and the lead's 376 at this stage, and make sure they have a few extra overs at the West Indies today, because the light is still very good, but it just seems like that round figure of 400 is what they're looking at. Another 24 runs.
Which means another 6 overs at this rate, which will leave 11 overs in the day, -2 for change of innings, which leaves 9 overs to have a dart at the West Indians. I don't know, Michael, I'm not so sure. Really, the intentions, even though they're playing shots, I'm not sure that they want to leave any overs.
Well, they had 11 overs, I think it was, at the West Indies in the Wanderers Test, and picked up 3 wickets before the close of play. There's not going to be any concerns about light tonight, I don't think. Still looking pretty good out there at the moment. A couple of these guys have been having a bit of fun actually with some of these posters. Of course, Minky is Graham Smith's girlfriend. He's obviously not watching the TV.
Looks very relaxed there, still in his shorts and shirts. Sleeveless shirts, that is. So, although Pollock, from some of the shots that he's attempted to play, certainly is looking to get on with it. Wonderful return from the deep. Andrew Hall already on 27 has caught up Pollock. Interesting enough, they faced a similar amount of deliveries, 41 and 49 respectively.
I think what we're going to see later in this test match is it's going to be a stark contrast in many, many areas when the West Indies eventually do get an opportunity to bat. Off the toe of the bat that time from Andrew Hall, swinging far too early. No doubt South Africa's fielding is going to be much better, and it's got to be said that the West Indies fielding has been diabolical. I think that's the word to describe it. I think you're going to see much more percentage bowling from the South Africans also, so that'll be another big change. There's another look at that early swipe from Hall.
Yeah, there's certainly, I think, the ability for South Africa to hit the right areas more often. It's been a bit scattered with the West Indians, but there has been an improvement after tea.
642 for 7. Yeah, Sean Pollock just give himself a little bit of room to get this scoreboard going. Getting it going quite quickly, I think, is their intentions at the moment.
Run rate at the moment 3.9. This partnership with 44 has come of 71 deliveries.
It's a good shot, nice and fine. It's gone for 4. That's well played. Almost took out the cameraman who was looking the other way.
Well, good contact this from Hall, who now passes Pollock, moves on to 31. But he's played this perfectly. That man had no chance.
Oh, there's a misfield. Goodness me. I am not sure I've seen a worse fielding display than what we've seen today from any international side.
Number of misfields. Plethora of drop catches all around the field.
6 of them. .50 stand now between these two in good time, just 74 deliveries.
Imagine fielding, Mike, for 649 runs after 2 balls, basically, a life of 2 balls, and then coming out to bat. Must be horrendous.
Cries of catch it. Is someone going to catch it? Oh, goodness me, yes, they are. The catch has been taken, so that has been grabbed. That's the end of Andrew Hall. Ramra Simon has picked up his second wicket. He's got 2 for 64 off 1 ball shy of 20. And South Africa have lost their 8th wicket.
So relief on Sarwan's face there. It's Andrew Hall going back to the pavilion. Top edge, didn't quite get hold of it. Didn't go too high, and it would have been horrendous had he dropped that one. Some relief there on the face of Smith. Andrew Hall out for 32. South Africa 649 for 8.
So what's happening? I can't believe it, boys. I think I'm actually in there. I run. So listen, you two, don't wait up, eh? Have a nice night. Laters.
Nice to see the South Africa got the batting order right in this test match. The one test match was Andre Nel, who came out for a brief moment, just lasted 1 delivery before he was, in fact, I suppose he didn't last 1 delivery. He was bowled first ball by Wavell Hines, and on his way back to the pavilion, Makayantini came out and scored some runs, batting at number 11. And he has improved his batting over the last couple of years. There's a look at the demise again of Andrew Hall. In the air for a long time. I wonder how many of those guys were saying mine.
No, they weren't exactly queuing up, were they? After today's display of catching, the West Indians will be very, very disappointed.
Now, Makayantini knows how to play one way. I would have actually declared at this stage. I think it's really pointless, Makayantini and Andre Nel coming out to bat in these sort of situations, unless he's going to have an absolute dip from ball 1. With the lead now 385. Nice and delicate, just tucks it around the corner. 6:49 for 8. There's a shot of the players, a brief shot it was, of the players' wives and girlfriends, and I'd imagine there'll be some pretty proud girlfriends and wives of that scorecard as well. Herschel Gibbs 142, Callis 177, Kirsten 137. Brilliant stuff. Nice and straight from Sean Pollock, beautifully timed. That's 4 runs. That's a lovely shot indeed.
Wonderful straight drive, the bat of Sean Pollock. Really not going to see it much better than that. Placement superb. He executed that perfectly. Pollock moves on to 33.
650 up. 653 for 8.
And the highest score record for South Africa, total 682 for 6. That was against England at Lord's earlier this season. There's the 4 again from Sean Pollock. So South Africa nearing that now, 653. They're just 10 runs away from passing that record.
He's hit that pretty well also. Chases on for Big Merv Dillon, who's done a lot of work today. He's bowled 33 overs. Pick up and turn. And a couple more runs to Pollock.
Did I say 10, Mike?
Yes, your maths has always been extremely ordinary.
I'm a bit concerned about that. It's actually 30 runs, so 682 the target. Sitting on 655 at the moment, so it's just under 30 now.
And that's the highest ever total now at Kingsmead. The previous highest was 654.
Waiting, George.
There's confirmation. Previous highest was England versus South Africa in 1938-39. 654 for 5. That was about 10 years after Robin Jackman started his broadcasting career.
And the highest South African score against the West Indies, 561. That was just the other test match in Johannesburg, the Wanderers. So something a little more recent, closer to when I started my stint as a commentator.
I know that Tony Cozier spent some time chatting about this subject this morning, but it is remarkable the number of high scores that have been totaled by teams around the world over the last 18 months. Every time you look at a scorecard in the paper, on TV, or maybe on Supersport, with all the test matches around, you see these huge totals from teams and also from individuals. 7 off the over, 656 for 8. I think Remner Asawan can be pretty pleased with his performance. He's picked up 264 off 20 overs and 1 ball now. A couple of maidens in there also. The last thing, of course, he wants to do is tire himself out for his batting. He's got to do some batting in this test match, Remner Asawan. He's one of the guys who's got to make sure that he fights really hard.
I think Pollock's getting ready to launch Naresh Sarwan right now. Trying to give himself room. There you go. It's a packed leg side field. So if he does manage to get it in the wrong area, slightly straighter possibly, Pollock will certainly hit him over the cover area for 4. There's only 3 men on the offside. That's a good option. Just 1 though. I'll be happy just to get a single so that he can get Pollock on strike.
Or a 6. 657 for 8. So the West Indies have been working hard, or for a long time, I should say. I'm not sure that they've been working hard on the field, because the fielding has been very, very disappointing. The bowling has been also pretty ordinary, apart from just one or two of the guys. Now, after this over, there's 12 overs remaining in the day's play. And of course, as Iran said, you lose 2 overs for the changeover. So that'll mean after this over, there's just 10 overs remaining. And you're starting to get to the stage now, Imran, where that's not enough time for the bowlers, for the opening bowlers, to get stuck in and find some rhythm and have a real go. 10 overs probably is. Anything less than that is getting a bit tight. Cries of catch it, and it has been caught. Brian Lara has taken that catch. So Makayantini has just slapped that in the air to the cover region, and it looks like the declaration has come as well. So it is going to be 10 overs that the West Indies will be facing, which will be a real little terror session for them. Makayantini's gone.
Yeah, he wasn't quite sure. He was trying to work that down towards third man. Managed to, in fact, get too much bat onto it. And Lara, that is a good catch. Overhead, with the ball moving away from him. And Tini dismissed for naught off just 4 deliveries. Caught Lara, bowled Sanford. So Sanford gets his 3rd wicket for 170 off almost 39 overs. But the decision has come. I said Mike Haseman, has come. And in fact, I think they will have a fair dart at the West Indians. So 13 overs remain in the day. Less than 2 that will be used for this change of innings. So they'll have at least 10 overs. 5 bowlers, or rather 5 overs each for the 2 openers. Pollock and Tini will have a full go. Good catch this from Lara. Ball moving away from you is never easy. So the declaration comes with the score on 658 for 9 with a lead of 394. It's going to be hard work for the West Indians. Really, it's never easy after such a long time to get out there and to face a new ball. They've been in the field for a very long time. 658 for 9. Tremendous hundreds there. Gibbs 142 of 175 deliveries. He entertained us yesterday. And then Cullis and Kirsten, really the highlights for today. 177 for Cullis and a magnificent Kirsten 100 of 137. He's 20th in Test cricket. 658 for 9.
Gee, it's been a great batting performance. The West Indies recovered, of course, after being 5 for 50 at one stage and got to 264. So they did well, but South Africa have been sublime. We've seen some outstanding knocks from Gibbs, Callis and Kirsten. If we look at the partnerships, and they are so important, all the guys getting starts, basically, all the guys getting some runs, except for Makayantini. But partnerships, 38 for the first wicket, 61 for the second, 168 for the third, 249 for the fourth between Callis and Kirsten, of course, the pick of them. 46, Callis McKenzie, the 6 was 10, and then a nice little flutter at the end as well. So the West Indies, well, they've been working, they've been out there for a long time. Dillon, probably the pick of the bowlers, 33 overs, 5 maidens, 1 for 111. Samford had the most wickets, 3 for 170, but he was expensive, going at almost 4.5, whereas Dillon was just under 3.5. Edwards also at about the 4.5 mark. And I think we've got to mention Sarwan's performance, 2 for 65, and also Vasper Drakes, who, as always, toiled in the hot sun and picked up a couple of wickets as well. So that's the situation. South Africa are 394 runs ahead. We're going to have 10 overs remaining in the day's play. We'll be back shortly.
Right, we're going to come away from the coverage for a moment whilst the West Indies prepare themselves for what will inevitably be a very difficult 13 overs till the close of play. They've got a mountain to climb, and I guess they're right now addressing themselves to how they're going to get through 13 overs, get a few runs on the board, and most important of all, not concede any wickets. John Embry is with me here. We'll be going through what they will face and analysing what's happened so far in a couple of minutes' time. Stay with us. We're back very soon. Welcome back. That's the situation then with a handful of overs left to the end of the day's play. South Africa declaring just a couple of moments ago at 658 for 9 after West Indies had been all out for 264. For South Africa, really the mainstay, Callis, Gibbs and Kirsten. Herschel Gibbs yesterday with 142. Today Jacques Callis and Gary Kirsten 137. They did the majority of the damage. South Africa leading by 394. And West Indies have got a huge task in front of them both tonight and if they last, for the next 2 days. So, John Embry, let's get the thoughts of him and find out what you think they can now do. I mean, they've just got to dig in and survive tonight, haven't they?
Yeah, very, very much so. It's an awkward 10, 11 overs they've got to face. Very similar situation that India faced against Australia earlier in the day. You're going to have the West Indies batsmen go out there. They've got nothing to play for. They've just got to go out there, play defensively, hopefully get through the evening without losing a wicket. So there's going to be a few nerves there amongst the batsmen, because none of them are in any sort of form at the moment. And on the other side of the coin, South Africa will go out there very positive. They'll look to attack. They'll have attacking fields. They'll be really bubbly. There'll be a lot of noise out there.
Yes.
And it's going to be very difficult for the West Indies. It's
been a bad day today for the West Indies, but of course things started to go wrong yesterday. Herschel Gibbs it was who got that first century. I mean, 3 key men making big scores. Herschel Gibbs was the first.
Yeah, and very impressive performances by all 3 players, and Gibbs was probably the highlight. He played some magnificent strokes, and his timing was beautiful yesterday, and he couldn't do a thing wrong. And he was very strong both sides of the wicket to the balls that are pitched short, and his game plan is very simple. He likes it on the front foot, he likes to drive, but he's also very quick onto the back foot there on the pull shot, where he's very competent as well, and that's where the bulk of his runs came from.
Yes, he looked pretty good all around. It was a great knock from him, and at that stage West Indies knew that they were in for a really tough match, I think, because of the way this man was going.
Well, also, the West Indies didn't bowl particularly well. They didn't bowl with any discipline.
No.
There was no control there over length and line, and they just served up 4 ball after 4 ball, and you could visibly see the heads of the West Indies players going down. And
yeah.
As Brian Lara as captain, it's got to be very tough for him, and particularly when he's batting, to concentrate all the time when he hasn't got anyone to turn around to do a good job for him.
And we've seen the standard generally suffering again today. There's been some pretty shoddy fielding, but of course Callis and Kirsten have gone on to take full advantage today. And Callis, he can't do much with the ball at the moment, but boy, he can with the bat.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great partnership between Kirsten and Callis this morning. They consolidated South Africa's position, and again Callis just collected runs. He took his time, he wasn't flustered, he knew he had a couple of sessions to bat today. He already had 74 on the board, and he just looked to play, and there were some glorious shots in his innings today, but he just accumulated runs. There was hardly a chance given until he got out, but some fantastic shots.
But we have to say, don't we, that throughout the day we saw some pretty poor bowling and fielding, and they've taken full advantage, and rightly so.
Well, the fielding has been poor, and I'm sure that there's been huge lapses of concentration by the fielders, and we've seen 6 catches go down today, 1 or 2 of them not too difficult, and that's just careless. And
yeah.
It's just one thing after another for the West Indies at the moment. They're not playing with any confidence, their bowlers not bowling particularly well, and that's being backed up by the fielders.
So Gibbs and Callis helping themselves, and Kirsten, of course, we've got to pay tribute to him. A great knock from him too.
It was a different knock than you normally see from him. He's normally batting at the top of the order. He looks to be the one that sets anchor. Players play around him. Today, we saw him playing a lot more shots. Again, it could have been because of poor bowling and putting the ball in the area where he's very strong. But you've still got to get the ball to the boundary, and he played very well. Again, through the offside. But again, when the ball was dropped short, he was very quick onto anything short of a length. But no, a good player, and I mean, he's South Africa's leading run scorer, so he's gone on, he's strengthened that position today. He's over 7,000 test runs for South Africa, and a very good player.
OK, John, thank you very much indeed. More from John Embry a little later, but right now let's cross back live to Kingsmead in Durban, and we are about to see what the West Indies can put together at the closing stages, the death of this very exciting day's play in many ways, certainly absorbing. And they've really got a huge battle on their hands just to stay in this match. Let's now see what happens and cross back now to Durban.
5 from each, and also a very attacking field can be expected, bearing in mind that this pitch has changed considerably from day 1, that it's got much better for the batsmen.
So Wavell Hines, 27 years of age. He's one of those guys who's a very good player. He's another one that's going to stand up in the count here for the West Indies. I'd imagine that it's been a pretty painful experience today for our viewers in the Caribbean watching this performance from their beloved side. Averages just under 33. Here we go. First ball from Sean Pollock. Could be a run out first up. Goodness me, I think if it hit, it would have been very, very close indeed. That would have been a shocking start.
Well, that would have been suicide. Wow, an interesting start there. Obviously, a lot of nerves out there. Just a little dab off the back foot. Now watch this. If Rudolph hit, I think that was touch and go. May have been out here. This will tell us. Absolutely. He would have been gone.
Goodness me, that would have capped off a horrendous day for the West Indies. Anyway, bit of good fortune there for Ganga. Sean Pollock overstepping. Something he works very hard on, Sean Pollock, and trying to get this right. He's one of those guys who's always there and thereabouts. He needs to have something behind the line, obviously. You can see him there just having a chat to umpire Simon Taufel as he goes by.
As I say, the line belongs to the umpire. There's Darren Ganga's pedigree. Just over 1,100 runs, averaging 25. 117 his best.
Lovely shape from Sean Pollock. So wherever you are watching this broadcast, just sit back and watch what Sean Pollock and Mackay and Tini do with their groupings. And compare it with what, in your mind, compare it with what the West Indies were doing basically yesterday and also today. 30 years of age now, Sean Pollock. 317 test wickets at a remarkable average of 20.8.
Three slips. Gully, man at backward point. Two men on the leg side.
Perfect. Perfect line and length from Pollock. You notice it hit the outside half of the bat as well. It certainly wasn't an edge by any means, but hit the outside half of the bat.
One thing about Pollock is he is going to make the batsman play as many as possible. That's the trick. It's pointless watching the new ball go by and allowing the batsman to leave. So he'll try and get them to play as many as possible. West Indies currently 392 behind.
That's what Darren Ganga and Wavell Hines should be looking to do as much as possible at this stage. Just leave the ball, let it go through to the keeper harmlessly. Just talking about the pressure and obviously the groupings of Pollock, and it's another good example. Because he's in those sort of areas, he can then have some catches. He's got three slips and a gully. Lovely seam position as well.
Also notice that Sean Pollock and Graham Smith have opted to go without a man catching. Forward short squares usually in position this time of the game. But this wicket has evened out so nicely that there's no real reason to do that. They've rather opted for a man just in front of square on the leg side. So there are the three slips. And the gully on the offside. Just two men, or one in the covers rather, one square.
End of the over, 2 for no loss.
You're a recruiter.
Applications for the CIA up tenfold.
Would I have to kill anyone?
Would you like to? Our cause is just. Our enemies everywhere. They're all...
But we're no closer to knowing who's going to pick up the points. Newcastle